Welcome back to What's New in the Lou with Alexis Zotos, presented by Kaldi's Coffee. This is your can't miss weekly podcast where we're helping you stay in the know in St. Louis. We're talking those can't miss events, the best new restaurants, and the most important thing, the people that continue to make our city the best place to live and visit. Be sure to stick around to the end of the episode because we have a calendar of events so that you know exactly what's happening this week all across the St. Louis region. Now, we talk about new restaurants because St. Louis has a lot of really great new restaurants, but you cannot forget about the classics. And there's nothing more classic than Crown Candy. Andy, third generation.
Yep, we've been doing this since 1913, so 113 years now.
You're not 113 years old,
No,
though.
but I do feel like it some days.
But you've been doing this since you were a teenager.
13 was my first job, was making ice cream and help my dad make Easter candy and learn how to help in the kitchen. And I'm going to be 62 in March, so I've been doing this a very long time.
And you're still making Easter candy.
I am still making, I've made a lot of Easter bunnies.
It is Easter season, so this is your guys' busy time.
Yeah, this is the biggest candy season. Christmas is number 2, and then Valentine's is number 3. So Easter is it's the big kahuna. It's the biggest one. It's a long marathon because we started making Easter candy in January.
Wow.
And then right after Valentine's Day, people start looking for the Easter candy. So we got to get the bunny stand. We call it the bunny stand. Get that up. And then it's another, 6 weeks of selling, Easter bunnies. And the closer we get, the more crazy it gets.
Why do you think that's the candy season? I mean, I don't actually think most people would think of Easter as the candy season.
It just has evolved into that because when I was little, when helping out, we didn't sell a lot of Easter candy. We did a fair amount, but it's just kind of grown. It's become like a tradition, and so you got mom and dad and grandma and grandpa and aunts and uncles, and people have been buying our Easter bunnies for a very long time, and it's just it's for whatever reason people associate Easter bunnies and chocolate Easter eggs with Easter. And I'm like, okay, I'll take it. But
how does that feel to be a part of so many people's traditions?
It's pretty incredible. That is one of the coolest things about doing what I do is the fact that I can look at some of my customers and realize that I've watched them grow up. I've watched maybe their kids grow up. Now I'm watching their grandkids grow up. So, at one point I had a lady come in and she stopped me when I was working. She says, "Thank you for still being here. Your grandpa gave me my first job." I said, "You mean my dad?" She says, "No, I'm 90. Your grandpa hired me when I was 15 to be a waitress." So I'm like, holy cow. And she just had the biggest smile on her face.
Aww.
So just knowing that we can continue that touch with people keep in touch with their history and their roots, because a lot of people drive from far away to come back and see us. So it's really important that, we're still there for everyone.
Well, you guys have that nostalgic feel. You step inside and it really does sort of feel like you're transported back in time.
Yeah. And people say, "Oh, it's like an old time candy store, ice cream store." I said, "No, we are an old time candy."
It is an old time.
Yeah, we're old. Trust me, those booths are old. The ceilings are old. The candy case, the back bar for the soda fountain, all that stuff is, a lot of that stuff is original. So, we just try to keep everything running and keeping everything, looking nice and not try to change too much because people remember what the egg salad tasted like or remember what the chili tastes like. So, you don't want to deviate because people will pick up on that.
Okay, so walk me back to the beginning. Obviously, you weren't alive in 1913, but what can you tell us about how it got started? Why did your family decide to open this spot up?
So my grandfather left northern Greece, Macedonian Greek. My father would always correct me if I said Greek, where he says we're Macedonian Greek.
Ah, there you
So
go.
there's a difference apparently. I guess we're all direct descendants of Alexander the Great, from what I understand. But he came over because I guess there wasn't a lot of prospects for the young men in Greece back then. So he had some confectionery skills. He came over with one of his best friends from the village he was from. It's a town called Christolapigi. If it was in Macedonian, it would be called Smerdish.
Oh, okay.
It was destroyed during the First World War.
Mm.
Most of any relatives or family members probably all fled up into Albania because we were right on the border.
Yeah.
But But my grandfather came over, and why he wound up in St. Louis, I think there was a pretty decent Greek
I know.
population.
I always wonder, like, did my great grandparents like know your like
Right,
probably.
and it was a very tight community,
Hmm.
between St. Louis and then Granite City was a
Hmm.
really big, Greek population. So, he settled here, and I don't know, where he landed as far as that goes. I know that he lived in several places in North City,
Hmm.
by the Pink Sisters, up on College Avenue, and a couple other different places. But once my grandfather opened up Crown Candy in 1913, he had two partners that didn't want to keep doing this. They didn't
Mm.
want to work that hard, according to my father. So my grandpa bought him out, and my grandpa eventually bought the property in the early 1920s. And what I find cool is there's a bunch of apartments above us, and we live in
Mhm.
one of those apartments now. My dad said that when he was little, he was born in 1925, so in the 20s and early 30s, my grandfather would put up all these Greek immigrants.
Mm.
They would come in and they would live in the apartments up there. My grandpa would help them get jobs, learn the language, and once they got settled, they would move on to bigger and better things.
Mhm.
So it was kind of like a little way station for
Yeah.
a lot of the Greek families that moved into St. Louis. It was kind of cool to hear that.
Did your dad kind of go into the business as well, knowing that was sort of the path for him, or what was his connection with it all?
I don't think I think back then I don't think he really had a choice.
Yeah.
I mean, his first job was selling popcorn when he was 8 years old out in front of the store. And then he worked in the business. My dad said he was there 6 days a week. He worked 10, 12 hours a day with my grandpa. But he did join the army,
Mm.
and he went and drove a tank for General Patton
Oh.
in World War II. And then, as my mother always said, he still drives like he's driving a tank. So I always got a laugh out of that. But he got out after the war, and he came right back home and got right back into the business. And in 1951, he pretty much took over running the business. And my brother Mike was born in 54, Tommy 56. I was born in 64. I was a surprise baby, according to everybody. Then we took it over in 91,
Mm.
so, and now, myself and my wife, Sherry, she really runs the place
Yeah,
now.
we know that.
Yes, everybody
Let's
should
be
know that.
real.
Yes. And so here we still are today. And,
That's a long time for not only a business, but to remain in the family. What do you attest to the success that you guys have had, that you've been able to stay open all of these decades?
couple things. I think the location for starters,
Mhm.
that why my grandpa decided to pick the corner of 14th Street and St. Louis Avenue. It was a lot of luck, I think, because
Mhm.
St. Louis Avenue is an exit for Highway 70. It's a pretty good main thoroughfare, through the neighborhood,
Mhm.
up into the west part of the city. So while there was a lot of different candy confectionery places all over North City and,
Mhm.
and South City, a lot of them just kind of fell by the wayside. They just didn't have the sustained traffic that we were fortunate to have.
Yeah.
So so I think just the location for starters, and then, my grandpa worked hard, and he wanted to take care of the people in the neighborhood and give people a good quality product. My father did the exact same thing, when he taught us, that, you take care of people, you give them good stuff, and you treat them with respect, they'll take care of you. So here we are, 113 years later, and
Mhm.
still doing it. And like I said, we still deliver the same quality, so people, they know things, and if they know it's not what it used to be, you might lose them. So we try to stay as true as possible.
When did it sort of evolve, or was it always, a restaurant in addition to a candy and ice cream parlor?
So it was candy and ice cream first.
Mhm.
And how do we come up with Crown Candy Kitchen?
Mhm.
Well, my grandpa wasn't going to put Karandzieff Candy Kitchen on the side of a building in a predominantly Polish German neighborhood.
Mhm.
So back in the day, the sign guys just had signs, and
Mhm.
he saw Crown and he liked it because he said it sounded like royalty.
Okay.
So he picked that one. So we became Crown Candy Kitchen. Um, and now I completely lost my train of thought.
When did you guys evolve into serving food
Oh,
along with
okay.
candy and
So
ice
so
cream?
it was candy and ice cream,
Mhm.
and then everybody kept coming in thinking it said kitchen, so they thought there was food. So in the early
Mm.
20s, my grandpa put the food options in.
Mhm.
So then we've served food ever since the early 20s. Yeah.
When did the BLT get on the menu?
So the BLT's been around for a long time. I've got the farthest I can go back is I've got menus from the early 1940s, and there was a
Okay.
bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich on there, and I
Okay.
do believe it was 15 cents. So yes, it's gone up a little bit since then.
That's wild.
But when did it become the sandwich?
Yeah.
I blame my employees because over time it went from like a couple pieces of bacon, and I mean maybe 4 or 5 or 6 pieces of bacon, to it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And that's like, then it just took on a life of its own. I'm like, well, we can't go backwards now because people are used to this sandwich.
Sure.
So that probably happened in the early 90s,
Okay.
mid 90s is when it probably really started to blow up.
And how many pieces of bacon are on that sandwich today?
Well, that depends on who's cooking some days. But it should have about 14 pieces of bacon on
Wow.
there, so some days it might have 17 or 18. So, but yeah, so it's a lot of bacon.
When do you feel like I know that candy is obviously the thing that people know you for, but do you think it's now more so the BLT that people really like associate your business with and that kind of helped you I don't know, reach the notoriety you have now almost?
I think it did. It was a turning point. I mean, at one point, like I said, it was always people always got their Easter candy or their
Mhm.
Christmas candy, and then they like the ice cream. The ice cream's always kind of been the one in the background. We sell a lot of ice cream too.
Mhm.
We're famous for our chocolate malt and shakes,
I
but
love your chocolate malts.
but I don't know what happened. I don't know the exact moment when like all of a sudden people realized that this is more of a restaurant
Mhm.
first, then candy, then ice cream. But in reality, they're all pretty close when it comes to our sales.
Mhm.
But you go anywhere and you say, "Oh, crown candy! Oh my God, I love your BLT." It's like that's like the first thing out of their
Is
mouths.
it bad if I say that I do think it's too much bacon?
No, not at all. I tell people, I said, "Here's the deal. It's a lot of bacon. It's a
Bacon.
lot. I won't eat a whole BLT. I mean,
Probably best for your health.
right? Well, especially when you're around it every day. My favorite sandwich is the Reuben. I
Oh.
love the Reuben. I
Well, and
love it.
I love your chicken
Yeah, and I
salad.
love the
So
chicken salad.
which you
But
can't get every day.
no, it's Tuesdays and
Mhm,
Thursdays.
mhm.
So that's really popular on those days,
Yeah.
obviously. But it is a lot of bacon. We sell 22 tons of bacon a year.
What?
Yeah, I got to think about that. It's like we fry on average anywhere from, depending on the time of year, 150 to 300 pounds of bacon a day.
That is wild.
Yeah. So once again, having fresh fried bacon around is my downfall.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Which is
So
funny because like my downfall would be just the ice cream. Like just
right.
that would just be I would just be in the ice cream case all day long. USA Today readers have named Kaldi's Coffee the best coffee chain for the second year in a row. Since 1994, Kaldi's Coffee has built its reputation on thoughtful sourcing, careful roasting, and warm, consistent service that shows up in every cup. It's an honor earned through daily dedication to quality. Explore Kaldi's best blends and find your cafe at kaldiscoffee.com. So, obviously, you grew up knowing that this was the family business. But what kept you in it? What made you stay?
Um, it's funny looking back at it now. I mean, first of all, my first thing to tell you is that I thought I was taking the easy way out. I'll just go into the family business. It'll be easy. And it was when I was young,
Mhm.
and now here I am almost 50 years later working 12, 14-hour days and dealing with all the joys of owning a restaurant.
Mhm.
But I look back at it and I've taken this for granted. Some of my biggest regrets are the fact that I got to work with my family every day. I got to see my mom, my dad, my brothers every day. Sometimes we fought like cats and dogs. Sometimes we all had a great time, and some great laughs and some great memories. And I think that was part of it. It was comfortable. It was easy. It was never a struggle to say, oh, I got to go to work.
Mhm.
And I look back and I wish I would have embraced it even more. So,
Yeah.
and
I mean, that's, a lot of people don't like their families, but a lot of people do, and that is sort of the dream.
right. And also, to be pretty blunt, I wasn't exactly a stellar student. I got out of high school and I spent 6 months at Florissant Valley not knowing what I wanted to do. And, I kind of picked up on the fact that, well, I know I can do all this. I can scoop ice cream. I can make ice cream. I can help make candy and all that. So, it just kind of became my life. And I never really thought of anything on the, I could go do this or do that. No, I
Mhm.
never really even thought about that.
Well, and you make it sound like it's a simple thing, but it's not a simple thing to run a restaurant for this long. You were just named Restaurateur of the Year, so congratulations on that.
Thank you. That was quite a shock and,
Yeah?
quite an honor, but I'm very, very honored, for that award and humbled. I like to think it's all me, but I'm the guy that got the award, but there's a lot of people at Crowns that are the reason we got that award.
Do you What do awards mean to you? I mean, you guys are on so many lists. You are one of those places that if someone Googles, like, where do I need to eat in St. Louis? Like, Crown Candy is on that list. What does that mean to you?
It's Once again, it's pretty impressive because you think about the sheer volume of really great restaurants
Yeah.
in St. Louis, and I try to emphasize this to all the kids, I call them kids, that work for me. They're in their 20s and 30s, some of them are in their 40s. That people every single day make a choice to walk through our doors and give us their earned money. And, so we need to make sure we take care of them, that we are giving them, good quality and great service and a great experience. Because sometimes you only get one shot and people, they're done. They're not coming back to see you. They might be moving on to the next place. So
Mhm.
if we can capture them and give them a great experience. So, and in today's world, with everybody that has a cell phone being a food critic,
It's
that's
true.
that's tough because
Yeah.
well, that's another thing that we've had to develop over the years is thicker skin because before, Joe Pollock came in and wrote a review and it was a great review and everybody read it and everybody thought
Mhm.
this is great. Let's all go there. But now everybody can write a review,
Mhm.
and so you've got to take the good with the bad, and obviously we have some people that don't have a good experience, but that's every restaurant that you see, we deal with that, and you can't let that consume you because that'll keep you up at night.
What's that less I mean, I can't imagine how many, employees you've had over all these years, the young kids who, move on to the next job. What is the lesson you hope to impart on those employees, about running a century-old business and being successful?
And that question is kind of important because I have to step back and think that I've given a lot of these kids their very first
Mhm.
jobs because they came from a neighborhood. Some of them maybe didn't have the greatest upbringing, and when we were that stability that they needed, that structure, I mean, I've had moms come in and say, "You got to give my son or daughter a job because I'm worried about them."
Mm.
So to take these kids and to kind of help them understand how they present themselves, show up on time, Um, you know, if you treat people well, they're going to appreciate that.
Mhm.
Especially one of the girls that are my servers, and even the guys that are my servers. That they have to understand it. That smile on your face, even if you're having a bad day, you still got to show up and you still got to
Mhm.
put that smile on. And just making good financial decisions because sometimes I'll hear them talking about stuff and I'm like, no, no, don't do that. Don't buy this. Don't do that. Don't go there. Different things. It's just giving them some type of, guidance, and, I think that's we've done a pretty good job over the years because there's been so many kids that have come through, and I always when the really, really good ones leave, I always kinda get sad. It's like, "Are they gonna go get a real job now?"
Yeah.
But, are they gonna go to college? And, but I'm so proud of a lot of them. They have done such a great job in life.
It is I think that first job is it is. In the restaurant business, I think personally everybody should work in a restaurant for at least a short amount of time so that you know how to act when you go to a restaurant. Um, and it's incredible, I'm sure, to be able to watch those people come and go on eventually to whatever it is that their future holds.
Yeah, yeah, it is, and I still see a lot of them. A lot of them still come back,
Mhm.
so we get to see, here they come with their kids, or here they
Yeah.
come and tell me about their new job, or I just moved to Atlanta, or I just moved to Dallas, and I'm doing this now, and it's great to see them moving on in their lives, but still coming back and and they'll always say, you were my favorite boss, or this is my favorite job.
People say that about you?
Oh
Wow.
yeah, I know. Some people imagine that, a crabby Andy. Although I'm a kinder, gentler person now.
I was gonna say, you have developed this sort of like persona in St. Louis, whether it's on social media, you don't hold back. I have not been on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, in almost 8 months. But you were always one of my favorite people on there. Why do you think you could? I'm sure Sherry would like you to take your phone away sometimes.
Oh yes.
But how does social media, help you and getting the word out about a business amongst so many other options for people?
That's another thing I had to learn. I mean, that when it was Twitter and I was on there a lot. I'm not on there very much anymore either.
I got kicked out and I literally can't get back in. So I've just said, you know what?
You're not missing nothing.
I don't think I am.
Yeah. I mean, Facebook, Instagram, though, that's
There's
kind of
plenty of other things.
yeah. But learning how to conduct yourself in public on social media, there's a little trial and error there, and and I see some people that I'm like, you really can't say that because you're gonna really get somebody upset at you, or like even when I would joke, it's like we had long lines. I'm like, these people got to quit talking so much and eat more. And people are like, don't you appreciate the fact that these people are in your restaurant? I'm like, you really don't know me that well,
right?
do you?
I always say there should be like a sarcasm font that you need on social media.
Yes, yeah, but the people that know, and I was learning. I complain about my employees not breaking down boxes, or not telling me that we ran out of something, or or just different. And it's like, okay, I can't do that no more. Because I might hurt somebody's feelings. So I've learned, I've evolved. I understand, the diplomacy I have to show now on social media. But social media is one of those things where it gets the word out.
Yeah.
I do goofy videos, and people, laugh at it. And my dad always said, if they're not thinking about you, they're thinking about somebody else.
Well, and I think one of the things that your sort of like honest posts are that, hey, yeah, businesses need the customers. And when you post, hey, we don't have business today, and it reminds people, well, let me get out to Crown Candy.
Yeah.
Because people always, anytime a restaurant closed, oh my gosh, I kept meaning to go there.
Right.
Oh, I was, it's
Yeah.
been on my list forever. But if you don't go, then our restaurants aren't going to stay open.
Yeah, that's it. That's why, I know we're in North St. Louis City, so we're a journey for some people. And I appreciate every single person that walks through those doors and gives us their money. Like I said, that's important. But just any local restaurant, that's the thing that I think people just need to remember is, maybe, and things have changed. People don't go out as much. People aren't spending as much money. But, whether you're going to, I'll name drop, whether you're going to Noodle House, or whether you're going to My Lee, or you're going to Jack Nolan's, or you're going to all my favorite places, they're all local places. And I mean, go and make that choice. Don't, nothing against chain restaurants, but,
Sure.
but I pick the local places.
Yeah. You guys are always on that sort of must visit list of places to go in St. Louis. What would you also put on that list? Spring break's around the corner. People are planning their staycations, their week off with the kids. Other than visiting Crown Candy, where do you think people need to go check out food-wise in St. Louis? I'm gonna make you name. I'm gonna make
You're
you
gonna
think
put me
about
on the
this.
spot, ain't you? Yeah, I knew that was coming. We're creatures of habit. You know what? We, if I'm going to do a nice dinner, we're going to go to Louis. The new restaurant that just opened up, Scouts. It's,
Yeah.
It's close to the house and it's in the city, and I love that because I don't got to drive far. So, and they're killing it over there. If we get up and we're kind of hung over on a Sunday morning, maybe we're going to Jack Nolan's and getting burgers and fries. Or maybe we're going over to Duke's and getting one of the best breakfast pizzas in St. Louis at Duke's.
Breakfast pizza?
Breakfast pizza. We got to add the jalapenos.
Ooh, putting this on my list.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
But it's just, comfort food. I mean, for me, a big bowl of, ramen from, Kui over at, Noodle House, or that salt and pepper calamari at My Lee, now I'm going to name drop some more. Our friends Dan and Nicole, who we travel with, they've got a place out in Dardine Prairie, way out, way far away. But they have some of the best food in St. Louis. It's some of the most great bar food you'll ever eat. I mean, the best chicken tenders in St. Louis. I'm telling you that right now. No, I know.
Better than Sportsman's?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
And where is it?
It's on Dardine Prairie. It's
Okay.
at Highway 40 and N.
Okay.
It's Town Square Pub and Grub. And the fried mushrooms, the chicken, everything's good.
Oh, Julian, Julia knows. Our producer, she's nodding her head over there.
Yeah, and everything. It's a scratch kitchen. They do everything from scratch. They don't even have a freezer except for our ice cream, which they do serve out there.
Okay.
But I mean, if you're out that way, go and check it out. It's fantastic. But there are so many great restaurants. I could sit here all day and tell you,
lucky. We're lucky.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things, you mentioned the ice cream. We talked about the chocolate. I, though, want people to understand when you're talking about making these bunnies, you're hand making these things, yeah?
Yes, I literally was making bunnies, stopped making bunnies, came here to do this, and then I'm going to go back and make more bunnies.
So what's the process here? Is this the same process that you guys have had for decades?
No, thank God it's evolved. My grandpa used to pour them by hand. And when I say by hand, literally he would get his hand covered in chocolate and he would drizzle the chocolate into these old metal molds. And I'm like, well, we can't do that no more. Thank God. Then my dad had a chocolate machine that had a spigot on it that he would open up and he would fill the mold. And then we put it in boxes of raw peanuts, open a window back in the back room, and then Mother Nature would cool them down.
Okay.
Well, we've evolved since then. We've got the molds now in mold holders, and I have a chocolate pump that pumps the chocolate up out of the bottom of the machine.
Are they solid or are they hollow?
Everything we make is solid.
Wow.
Except for the Big Jack, which is semi-solid.
Okay.
Which is hollow.
Okay.
But he's still 4 pounds.
4 pounds.
4 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, and he comes all dressed up in a box with a bunch of other goodies. It's a lot of chocolate. But I literally fill all these molds by hand. I do almost all of it. My niece is learning, but she's a little bit afraid of that machine still because it can get a little messy. So she's the one who takes the molds out, or my wife takes the mold out. Sherry does. Or my sister-in-law, Nancy's. I got helpers. I got chocolate elves, Easter bunny elves, that is. But yeah, you fill all these things up by hand. And now some of these molds are over 100 years old. And the new ones are plastic. They're nice. They're great, but they're not the same. And I had the good fortune we had the good fortune that my father bought up a lot of these old molds when these old Greek confectionaries closed up. So we had quite a collection of molds. Some of them are still usable. Some of them just wore out.
Right.
But like I said, I will make probably 9,500 to 10,000 Easter bunnies this Easter.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why I start in January.
That's crazy. And you guys, something that has changed is you guys do ship. Yes?
Yes, that is. Thank you, COVID. We had an online presence, but once that happened, Sherry really, really ramped up our website.
Right.
So she ships all over the country. She ships all over the world. We've sent packages, up into Canada, over into Europe, to Japan.
That's pretty cool.
It's not cheap, but we'll do it.
Sure.
But that's where she's really taken Crown Candy to a whole nother level.
And I have seen you guys have some weird. Sometimes you have funny bunnies.
Well, towards the end of Easter bunny season, I start to get a little slap happy, and we start saving the broken ones. And then I just sit there and I stare at all the pieces of Easter bunnies and what other figurines, and I start gluing them together. So they're kind of like they're called the Misfits. And so I will make this crazy collection of Misfit bunnies, and then we'll put them out, and some people every single year got to have them.
That's what they want.
Yeah. So we don't sell a lot of them, but it's fun. It's different. It's weird. And Sherry just shakes her head at some of the stuff I do, but it's like, it's just something to break up the, routine.
But I think it's really special. If you think about this idea of, a kid waking up on Easter morning, they've got their Easter basket and they have a piece of St. Louis history in their basket.
Absolutely. That is, it boggles my mind that I see people that have been buying our Easter candy for, 75, 80 years that have come through our doors still, and now their kids are doing it and their grandkids are getting it. And it's just a great feeling to know that we're bringing that kind of happiness to families in St. Louis still.
Thank you, Andy. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's been great.
All right. We've got a little bit of time until Easter is here, but here are the events happening this week, March 2nd through March 8th. The St. Charles Boat Show is this week, March 5th through the 8th at the St. Charles Convention Center. Family Fridays is a new event happening at the District in Chesterfield. It is this week, March 6th. And Kids Night at the Fabulous Fox this Friday, March 6th, a Kids Night with Stomp At the Repertory Theater, The Enigmist opens Saturday, March 7th, and St. Louis City SC has a home game Saturday, March 7th. Now, if you've got an event that you feel like should be in this calendar, definitely reach out to us. You can find us on social media on Instagram and Facebook at What's New in the Loop Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so you know exactly when our new episodes drop every Monday. Thanks for listening.